Welcome to BaseballGuys.com. I'm your host, Ray Flowers. Going to start out talking about a game that I just finished watching here in the Bay Area. It's between the Giants and the Padres. It was a great pitching matchup between Jonathan Sanchez, who continues to impress, and the youngster Matt Latos of the Padres, who was even more impressive on this day. Threw a one-hitter against the Giants. The only ball that was a hit actually went off the heel of his glove on a comebacker. It was fielded by the second baseman, thrown to first, not in time to get Eli Whiteside at first base. If he'd been in a little bit better fielding position, aka something like Greg Maddux used to do, might have thrown a no-hitter. But regardless of that situation, the outing today and his last outing have actually brought Latos' whip down below 1 for the season, making him a tremendous pitcher in the fantasy game. Now, there's concerns with Latos, not about performance, but about how he's going to be used the rest of the season. He was in the 50s in his innings pitch mark in 2008. Last year he was in the 120s. The Padres have already said they're looking at 160 to 170 for him this year. Even if he continues to do well, and even if the team continues to do well, look for the Padres to skip starts with Latos and potentially shut him down later in the year. They don't want to continue to up the innings pitch mark with the youngster, as evidence has started to show that a 40-inning increase from one season to the other tends to lead to more arm injuries for youngsters especially. Another youngster who was very impressive on the hill today was Bud Norris. He dominated once again against the Cardinals, and this brings up a very odd fact with Norris. He's now 4-0 against the Cardinals in his young career, but he's 4-7 with an ERA over 7.5 and a whip of over 1.8 against everyone else. Why this exists against the Cardinals and no one else? Not certain about that, but you obviously want to have Norris active whenever he faces the Cardinals. He's a strikeout option in any start. His concern this year has been his ability to work into games because of a lack of strike throwing. He walks far too many batters. But when he's on, as he showed today, he can dominate any major league lineup. Hunter Pence, a teammate of Norris's there in the Houston Astros situation. Well, today, finally, Pence, actually the past couple of days, Pence has finally started to hit like the player we thought he was and the player he showed himself to be the past couple of seasons. Last 4 games for Pence, 3 home runs, 7 RBIs. He's finally getting going. Carlos Lee's still struggling. Lance Berkman's also starting to get going. If they can get all 3 of those guys humming along together, the Astros might actually have an offense that resembles a major league club. A former Astro, Brad Lidges, got good news today. He had an MRI done. Looks like the surgery he had in the off-season, that is not an area of concern at the moment. It's healing as expected. What's been the concern and the reason for his shoulder tightness of late? Doesn't look like it's something that's structurally, so that's good. They're not quite certain. It might just be, regular stress from throwing, quite frankly. So hopefully, for the Phillies' sake and for Lidges owners, it'll be a minor issue. We'll see him back on the hill in a couple days. Look for Jose Contreras to continue to close in his absence, but very good news for Brad Lidges. Doesn't look like a DL stint is going to be in the cards. In Baltimore, we got a situation in the bullpen. Very, very muddled situation. It was Mike Gonzalez who went out with the shoulder issue. He is starting to throw again, but he's still weeks away, probably 3 to 4 weeks away from really getting back out, as long as he doesn't have any setbacks in his recovery, and who knows how that goes. We got some bad news today with Jim Johnson. Well, I guess it's potentially bad news. He's going to miss 8 to 10 weeks with a small tear in his elbow ligament. They're very hopeful that he can avoid surgery, but apparently in that 4 to 6 week range, about halfway through the estimated recovery time, they're going to do a lot more tests and push him. And if they don't get good results then, he will have to probably undergo Tommy John surgery. So kind of a wait and see with Johnson, but it doesn't look like he's going to be someone you can count on this year. And that means Alfredo Simon, who's taken over the closer's role there in Baltimore, is going to get a good chance for at least the next couple of weeks, next month, maybe even longer, to be that arm in the pen for the Orioles. If he's still out there in the mixed league, grab him, because again, it looks like he's going to be the guy. They just don't have anyone else that's healthy that they can turn to in the 9th inning. They also called up Corey Patterson there in Baltimore, sent Nolan Reimold down. Nolan Reimold coming into the year is one of the big sleeper candidates for most people in the fantasy game. He's had problems with his Achilles tendon. He just hasn't been able to overcome that. Hasn't been able to get any consistency at the plate. He's going to be sent down to the minors to AAA to work on that stroke. Corey Patterson was called up. Patterson looked great in AAA. He had a really good game today. He hit a home run, had a double, threw a guy out the plate. Corey Patterson's going to have a lot of value short-term in AL leagues because he's going to get a chance to play. I really worry about him long-term, though. It's been years since he's been effective. He's got the 2nd worst on-base percentage of any player in Major League Baseball currently, with at least 1,000 career plate appearances. It's like 290. It's terrible. He doesn't profile as a top-of-the-order bat, though that's where the Orioles are hitting him at this point, because without Brian Roberts, they really don't have a guy to turn to at the top of the order. Jarrod Washburn might be sitting on his couch for a while bit longer this season. In fact, he might sit out the entire season. Talked to John Morosi of Fox Sports and said basically, he's in no hurry to sign with anyone. If he doesn't get a deal he wants with the team he wants, he's comfortable spending time with his family, he's comfortable sitting out the entire season. We'll have to wait and see if that changes. The juices start flowing as the year progresses, but right now Jarrod Washburn seems a 50-50 bet to sit home and just mail in the 2010 season. Mark DeRosas might have to mail in the 2010 season, but it's not for a good reason. DeRosas has had issues with his wrist. He had surgery in the offseason. Apparently that surgery, in his words, was a total failure. He's had it looked at since then. They're hopeful that he'll be able to, take some time here, do a few things in the rehab to hopefully strengthen that wrist. If that doesn't work, we're looking at potentially the exact same surgery he had previously. If that is the case, if he does have to undergo that surgery, it'll obviously destroy the entirety of his 2010 season. Giants are hopeful of getting Freddie Sanchez back next week from his shoulder issue. Looks like it might be just in time, considering the fact that DeRosas might be out long-term in the Bay Area. And finally, Jarrod Saltalamacchia, it's killing the ball at AAA. He's hitting very, very well in the 300. He's got an OPS of over 950 in AAA. So why isn't he up? Why is Max Ramirez with the Rangers? Well, Saltalamacchia has been having some problems throwing the ball, and I don't mean to second base, I mean to the pitcher's mound. He's been bouncing throws to the pitcher, he's been throwing balls into center field. Apparently he's got the yips, he's got that mental block, he's pulling a Mackie Sasser, Steve Sachs, a Chuck Knobloch. You can go through the list of players. For some reason these short throws, the easy throws, are the ones that cause trouble. Hopefully Saltalamacchia can get over that. If he continues to hit like he will, and he can get over that action with throwing the ball to the pitcher, look for him to be recalled at some point, though Max Ramirez makes an interesting play in AL-only option in AL-only leagues at this point, because he started out very, very hot for the Rangers. Again, I'm Ray Flowers, BaseballGuys.com. I gotta finally take a breath. That was a quick 7 minutes there of talking. Whew. I'll talk to y'all again tomorrow.